According to experts, the Middle East has recently experienced the first recorded instance of a conflict in outer space. This raises the question, what exactly constitutes space warfare? According to a statement provided to McClatchy News by an Israeli Defense Forces spokesperson, a significant event in the history of human conflict took place in early November. Israel's aerial defense system successfully intercepted a surface-to-surface missile near the Red Sea. Wendy Whitman-Cobb, a professor of strategy and security studies at the U.S. Air Force School of Advanced Air and Space Studies, stated to McClatchy News that this could be the first ever instance of state-to-state combat conducted in space. Experts informed McClatchy News that this event emphasizes the increasing importance of space, specifically the area situated above Earth's atmosphere as a battleground. It also serves as a reminder that more covert forms of space warfare occur frequently without the public's knowledge. Experts in the field of military strategy have found that the concept of space warfare is currently too nebulous and requires a more precise definition. Martin Whelan, a senior vice president at the Aerospace Corporation, which is federally funded for research, stated that the current understanding of space warfare includes attacks on satellites from Earth, as well as satellites attacking one another. Brian Chow, an independent policy analyst, has a more specific definition, which includes only assets located in space. According to this definition, the recent Israeli missile interception would not be considered space warfare, as the missile was not in orbit. However, Whitman-Cobb, an expert on space policy, warns that hostility in space is not limited to active military warfare. Rather, it can occur in subtler forms, such as through cyber, jamming, and laser technology. The legality of such actions is uncertain, as there are limited laws governing space, which is itself not even clearly defined. The Outer Space Treaty, an international agreement regarding space, was ratified by the United Nations in 1967. It specifically prohibits the deployment of weapons of mass destruction, including nuclear weapons, in outer space. However, Paul Szymanski, the president of the Space Strategy Center, a consulting group, explained to McClatchy News that nations regularly disregard international treaties and can opt out of them at any time. This mostly ineffective oversight, coupled with the vast expanse of space that conceals any potential conflict, has rendered space a lawless frontier, according to experts. According to Szymanski, space is a hub of activity where events reminiscent of the Cold War era occur. In the past, Russian destroyers would sometimes deliberately or accidentally collide with American destroyers. This cat and mouse game continues to play out in space. Szymanski notes that cyber and electronic interference is a regular occurrence in space. For instance, the US Space Force, established in 2019, has admitted to using counter-communication systems that temporarily disable enemy satellites using ground-based equipment. It's hard to trace the source of such interference, making it difficult to point fingers and assign blame. Szymanski highlights how the sudden failure of a satellite is confusing and could be caused by a range of factors such as equipment failure, solar flares, or micrometeorites. To gain a deeper understanding, we should take a few days or even weeks to investigate further. Military action that is kinetic has been executed in space, yet it has only occurred through anti-satellite ASAT missile trials up to this point, as stated by Whitman-Cobb. 4 nations have carried out ASAT tests: Russia, previously known as the Soviet Union, the United States, China, and India, Whitman-Cobb mentioned. All of these ASAT tests involved the destruction of a satellite owned by the country itself, and were not aimed at another nation. The United States was the first country to pledge to prohibit such tests in 2022, which generate debris fields that persist over time, according to the White House. Experts have stated that modern life as we know it is supported by space assets, and that any attacks on these assets could have far-reaching consequences for the military, the economy, and space exploration. One possible outcome is the occurrence of a space Pearl Harbor, which would serve as a shock and awe tactic before China's military campaign to seize Taiwan, as suggested by Chow. The Chinese military could launch a massive preemptive strike on US satellites, potentially deterring any American military response. Additionally, the Chinese possess fractional orbital bombardment systems, FOBs, which can deliver warheads from low Earth orbit, as noted by Szymanski. Szymanski has warned that this technology poses a serious threat to the primarily sea-based US military. If China were to target American aircraft carriers globally, it could effectively eliminate the US as a world power in one evening. The development of FOBs by China, announced in 2019, is seen as another dangerous, costly and pointless step in an ongoing arms race, as stated in a report by the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. The Earth currently has over 6,000 orbiting satellites, and their disruption or destruction could have dire consequences for the global economy, according to Whitman-Cobb. Space-based assets play a crucial role in our economic infrastructure, and even minor malfunctions can have significant downstream effects. Destroyed satellites could also have lasting effects on the future use of space, as Whelan explains. If an adversary intentionally destroys a satellite, even one of their own, it could lead to a debris field that would severely restrict or even block human access to certain orbits. The potential consequences are dire, and Whitman-Cobb hopes that we never reach that point. There's a lot of things that could go really bad, really quick, she warns. To support our channel's growth and ensure broader awareness, kindly hit the like and subscribe buttons. This will help us reach more individuals and disseminate valuable information. Thank you in advance.